Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast, a space for nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. What would it be like if you gave your body a leadership role in your business and chose greater happiness every day? These are the conditions that create a healthy biome and a thriving business. I'm your host, Heather Nichols, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. I think we're celebrating like a year of this podcast being out in the world. I just got like a memory today in my, Facebook or something like that. So how cool is that? Thank you so much for listening, whether this is your first or your 52nd, or I think I've put out more than 52 because I've done more than one a week occasionally. But yeah, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for those of you that listen, and I really love hearing your feedback. I love hearing your questions. I love creating these podcasts. I love having these conversations. So thank you for being here. And I guess I would probably do it even if nobody was listening, but it's nice to know that people are listening and that it's contributing. So I wanted to talk today about money and being the source. I have a Telegram group that you're welcome to join if you're not part of it. It's heathernichols.com/Telegram is how you get there. And it is a, we asked in the group recently, somebody that works with me asked, you guys have questions, you have things that you would like Heather to talk about. And somebody asked about creating money in a way that works for you. Like he asked me about creating money in a way that works for me, like what's been my greatest contribution. And I was also just finished a private session with somebody where we got into some stuff around money, and we were talking about, this person is an entrepreneur, and we were talking about clients and getting clients and how, nobody wants to be seen as with dollar signs. When people look at their clients with dollar signs or euro signs or whatever, people it's kind of a yucky energy. Like people know, they don't necessarily cognitively know, but it's an energy that tends to push people away when they're seen as basically the source of money for you. And if you're an entrepreneur, it could be very easy, and perhaps you do, but it could be very easy to kind of like fall into the trap of believing that your clients are the source of your money flows. So to address this question of what's been one of the greatest contributions for me in creating money is actually to kind of, and believe it or not, not think too much about it. And the less I think about it, the more peace I have with it, the more it just comes into my life with ease. And I've seen that with a lot of people that I work with as well. When we see clients or customers or whatever it is that you do, it could even be maybe you don't run a business, but you work in a business, and then you could apply the same conversation to your employer, the person who pays you your paycheck, if you get a paycheck. When you see people as the source of your income, then you actually debilitate yourself in creating your financial reality and in creating money in a way that works for you. If other people are seen as if you need to get other people to give you money, whether it's by giving you a job, hiring you, or, becoming a client or taking a class with you, or being a customer in some way, purchasing a product or whatever, then you have given your power away basically to that person, and to all of the future people that you hope will come and do the same. And you basically have taken yourself out of kind of like the driver's seat in your own life in the creation of money and in the creation of everything, really. And so when you start to see that money comes because you are willing to have it, money comes because you are willing to receive it. Money comes when you're willing to receive judgment. Money comes when you're willing to be more. Money comes to the party of possibilities because money actually money has a consciousness and it likes to move into places where it's going to be used to create greater. And so when we're using our money to create a greater future, and we're really kind of focused basically on the creation of a greater future, and we see ourselves as the source of that, our choices, our asks, our requests of the universe, the things that we are, like the dreams that we have, the things that we're envisioning for what we would like our future to be. Last week I did a energy poll on creating a future. So when we see, when we see ourselves as the source, like the person who can be who is the facilitator of money coming into your world, then when people show up in your life that contribute money, whether it's an employer or a client or whatever, customer, whatever it may be, that's not because of them. I mean, you can be grateful to them for choosing to work with you or whatever, or to hire you, but it's because you're willing to receive. And the beauty of that is that we then acknowledge ourselves for being a creator of our own life. And I would really love to live in a world where there was a lot more of that, where a lot more people saw themselves as a creator of their own life and their own reality, rather than constantly running around trying to find people to validate them, to gift them, to hire them, all those things. And so what would it be like if you really and part of why I wanted to actually have this conversation is because it's a really different conversation to have. And one of the things you can do is actually stop yourself. Like when you are seeing somebody as the source, when you put the source of your future, of your money flows, whatever it is, outside of you, and you're seeing somebody else as the source of that, stop, notice it, and maybe this conversation will give you more awareness about that, but notice it, stop, and turn it around. Like start to actually acknowledge that you are the one who is the source. And, if you know the access consciousness clearing statement, you can use that. You can clear it. You can, destroy and uncreate it and clear it, which is a powerful tool. And if you don't, you can go to theclearingstatement.com and learn more about it there. But it's just this idea that, we need to stop ourselves in those moments when we're having those thoughts, when we're having those projections and thinking about people in a particular way and thinking about ourselves in a particular way. We need to stop and choose a new pathway, choose a new way of seeing things, a new way of looking at things, a new way of seeing ourselves. And when we do, it's just amazing what can show up. And this is also something that we cultivate over time. This isn't like a quick fix, start seeing yourself as a source tomorrow, and then you're going to be fine. Your money flows will start to increase. Although you change it, you change your future when you start to do that. Like you actually start to create a different future when that is the case. So that's cool. And that future, if it's greater and you're willing to receive more, it will include money. And that kind of brings me to another aspect of this, which is really seeing that it is, and I've talked about this before, I've talked about this recently, but really seeing that it is the creation of a future, the creation of a joyful life, the willingness to have a joyful life, the willingness to relax and receive and truly just be at peace, like have peace as a choice, peace and ease and joy and glory with money as a choice, that allows us to kind of like expand into this different way of being with money that doesn't put it front and center as this thing that we have to obsess about. I have definitely spent time in my life having money be front and center, something that I'm obsessing about. It's not that fun. So you might recognize that, anytime you think you're going to be short funds or whatever, you're not going to have enough money or whatever. Like we tend to sort of go by default to that, like, okay, money, and I got to make it, and I got to create it, and I got to find people that are going to give it to me, and and it's like when you put it here and you just obsess about it, you actually push it away. And anybody that might come into your world as a client, a customer, whatever you want to call it, might also go away, because they can feel it. And again, they don't necessarily know that that's what they're aware of, but sometimes they are. But they have a sense of like, it's just like, well, that's just not for me. I'm going to choose something different. There may not even be a story around it. It's just, they're not going to choose your product or service or whatever. Or they won't hire you. Like if you go, you go to apply for a job and you're desperate for money, they may not hire you because the need, the point of view that we have need of money actually pushes it out of our lives and out of our worlds. It's one of those, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And when we have the need of money, which is just a point of view, we push it out of our world. And so that's something that is really, it's very good to know and good to sort of be aware of and kind of go after in a way. When I realized that, it was a long time ago, and I was like, okay, I'm not interested in functioning from that. Like, that's not interesting to me at all. And so I just started to also like go after that, and be aware of when I was doing need of money, when I was telling myself that story, and start to just like not let myself have that story, not go there, not believe that I needed money. Well, how do you get out of the need of money? You start to see yourself as the source. You don't allow, you take money out of the, like you take it out of being something that's outside of you, and you see you're the source, and you start to build and grow that, like the energies and the energy flows and the muscle of receiving and the willingness to be, and all these energies that create money coming into your world. You start to be that, and money starts to flow in when you're not obsessing about it. Now, you can look at this in just like with a relationship. So if you have ever had a relationship with somebody that was absolutely obsessed with you, that is not a fun relationship to be in. You're like, okay, killer, back off. You're going to want to run the other way. That's a really common thing. And so, like it's the same thing with money. Money has a consciousness. It flows according to energies. And when we're obsessing about it, like I said before, there's an energy of need. We push it out of our worlds. And, so it's the same thing as in a relationship. Now, if you're in a relation, or you're interested in somebody who's like, cool, like, sure, let's hang out, and they're grateful for you and they enjoy you, but they don't need you, and you're free to come and go and, flow and all of that, like that will there's such a sense of space and freedom of movement in that, with that, in relationships. And it's like that with money too. When you have the choice for peace and ease with money, then you don't like that's a choice that you have, that you can cultivate for the rest of your life. And it's an interesting thing to cultivate, both when you think you don't have it and when you have it. So what would happen if you won the lottery tomorrow? Or let's actually go with a smaller number. Okay, so let's say you had like $50,000 come into your world tomorrow. So what would you do with that? Would it, like, that's just something interesting to look at. You're all going to have a different response to that. But for a lot of people, it would create kind of like a fabricated sense of more ease or more peace, right? You'd be like, oh, I got some breathing room. I got a little bit of, I can pay some bills, or I can, that's more money than I've ever had. Or, it depends on where your finances, your financial world. For some people, that's not very much money, so it depends on you. But let's just say an amount of money that you think would actually give you a sense of like, I'm set for life. I'm not saying 50,000 would do that. But let's go with that. An amount of money that you would be like set for life with. Now, what if you could have that much money come into your world and still be kind of, I guess the word in English would be like nonplussed, like you're just sort of like, okay, cool. Like really being interesting point of view with it, just like, okay, there's some money there. How grateful you be grateful, how does it get better than that? You could be happy, you could have fun with it. I mean, those are all, nothing is, those are all, there's no wrong with any of this, but those are all spaces and energies that you can, that it's like, yeah, enjoy it, have fun with it, be grateful for it. That all creates more. But the thing that indicates a lack of peace with money is if that much money would come into your world and it would create like an induced peace, kind of what we would call like the distraction of peace, which is like, not true peace. The distraction of peace is more kind of like that circumstances line up in such a way that now you can have peace rather than having the choice for peace no matter what. And the tool Interesting Point of View is an amazing tool to get to that. So if you haven't used that tool, please use it. I have 30 days of Interesting Point of View on my YouTube channel. It's an amazing resource. I did it quite a while ago, but it's powerful. So I highly recommend checking that out if you'd like to dive more into that. Because the tool Interesting Point of View, it's an access consciousness tool. And when you get to Interesting Point of View, you actually, you are in total allowance. You're like, great, cool. Oh my gosh, I got some money. Cool. But your life hasn't changed. It's like money's a contribution. And if you could have that kind of like peace and ease with a lot of money, and also when you think you have no money or you have very little money, that is an enormous space of peace and ease and choice. It's an enormous space of peace and ease and choice. And we don't, that's not something that people talk about very often, For me, it's one of the big keys. And it's also where you start to begin to make yourself the source. Now, you can apply this to every area of life. Like I was talking about relationships. It's like, we can apply this to relationships. If you would like to have a relationship, we all know how that goes. If you really want one, you really need one, then you're going to push people away. And if they come into your life and you're like, oh my gosh, now my life is complete, you've made my life complete, that's kind of a lot of pressure you're putting on that person, and it's not true. It's not true. If you're like, how cool, you're cool, let's play, and then you get to play as long as you get to play, that's a different reality. So, so with all of that, you can see how this works, and what I'm inviting you to is really the choice for um, peace and ease with money, no matter what. If you have no money, if you have lots of money, if you have wildly fluctuating money, whatever it is, no matter what, you get to choose that. And what it really boils down to, I would say, is that when we get to choose that money is it's just a thing. It's not significant, it's not relevant. It's just a thing, and yeah, I mean, it makes some things easier, but it's just a thing. And when you see yourself as the source of your whole future, all of your creations, your life, living reality, you see yourself as the source of that. Then it really, like, things really start to shift in the direction of you just basically, like, really knowing that you are the source of your future. And then money, like, there's an ease with the flows of money. And then you will have clients or customers or whatever coming into your world that are like, oh, cool. Because you're just like, hi, oh, cool, great. You came to play, you didn't come to play, whatever, doesn't matter. You get to just have those energies, available, and people coming into your world, people coming, people going, but you have this sense of, like, the sovereignty of you, the like the communion, really, of you with the entire universe, and everything adds to your life, whether you've got money or you don't have money, you have people, you don't have people, everything adds to your life, and your life gets to become greater and greater and greater as a result of that. So yeah. So what would it be like to choose to be the source for money, to get to interesting point of view with money? And please do that when you have it and when you don't. If you get a big check, maybe it's the 50 grand, maybe it's the whatever, winning the lottery, maybe it's just a big chunk of change. Do interesting point of view with yourself around it, that's a really cool thing, is like when money comes in, just being like, oh, okay, there's more money. Cool. Next, be grateful. How does it get better than this? Be grateful. But if your whole life is now different because of it, money's the source. You're not the source. If you can add it to your life, receive it, be grateful, but your life hasn't changed, you're the source. And the same with, having less money. Money ebbs and flows. It comes and goes for everybody. We all have rhythms and cycles with it. That's just kind of a normal thing. And when you stop making yourself wrong and you stop trying to, make it come into your life because out of need, and you start to really, just see that you can create whatever it is that you desire to create. And there's a million tools in Access Consciousness and beyond for that. Then you do become the source of your life. You're living your reality, and so much can change from there. So, one thing I wanted to mention too, I wasn't even really thinking about this, but I'm going to be doing the How to Become Money workbook. I'm going to be doing like an energy pull series, or an energy flow series, I guess we call it, with that book. The Access Consciousness, How to Become Money workbook is a really, really cool book that actually just gets rid of a lot of these points of views that we have about money and allows us to get to step into a lot of the spaces that I've talked about here, really. So this is going to be like a daily, thing. I'm not even sure how long it's going to be or when. Maybe by the time we publish this, we'll have a link for you down below. But it'll probably be like 14 days or something like that. And we will dive into that book and dive into like the energetics of it, because that How to Become Money workbook, there's a How to Become Money workbook and there's the Advanced How to Become Money workbook, and they've both created so much for me in terms of they created a lot of peace, a lot of ease with money, and a lot of money also, which is really cool. Like every time I start playing with those books, my money flows increase, and it's not because I'm out there pounding the pavement selling myself. I basically don't sell myself anymore. That's extraordinarily boring to me. So I do a podcast, I do videos, like people, you know where to find me. But selling myself is I'm just not that interested in it. It's like, I'd rather just contribute to people and know that whatever I'm asking for will show up, and see how that occurs along the way. The universe always takes care of us way greater than we can imagine it will. So, and when we start to live that, there's so much freedom there. So I hope that this was a contribution to you. Thank you so much for being here and for being you. And I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me for the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. For more resources, check out my website at heathernichols.com and my social media channels as well. Have a beautiful day, and remember that your business thrives when you do.